Hey, what's up YouTube? Okay, this is a video response to YouTube user Minbound. Now, before I start on to this, just going to let you guys know that this is only going to have this one little visual here, so feel free to get up and move about the cabin. Oh, okay, so Minbound's latest video, Get Off That Couch and Help Yourself Today. If you don't know Minbound, I recommend you go check out his channel. Pretty good channel, pretty cool dude. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's like some sort of starship captain or something. I don't know. If you go through his videos, you'll figure it out. So basically, in this latest video that he did, he was discussing, to not put stuff off, that, hard times are coming, and people need to do whatever they can today, and, this kind of stuff. All good points, agree with everything he said. But what I wanted to respond to in this video was two key points that I encounter a lot with what I call, partially awake people, half awake people. Okay, so here's the first half asleep guy that I encounter quite often. Well, I've got a 22 long rifle, and I've got a 12 gauge bird gun. I've got about 2,000 rounds of ammo in between the two guns, and if austerity comes to the U.S., if there's rioting in the streets, I'm totally set. I've got the two rifles, and I can defend my home, and I can take on anything that's coming down the road. Obviously that's not true. Those two weapons, or those two firearms, are just, not going to cut it in a lot of scenarios. Now, in a couple of scenarios they might, but there's plenty of scenarios that they just won't. Here's another guy. Well, back in the 80s, I bought myself two monster generators, and I never really used them because the power never really went out for an extended period of time. But I got them, and I put them in the garage, and they're under a couple of tarps, and they're under, I think they're under the Christmas ornaments, and there's the paint that was left over from painting the bedroom a few years ago. Yeah, they're in there, I got them. If there's any kind of infrastructure breakdown, then I'm going to crank up these two generators, and my house is going to be good to go. I'm going to be able to ride out whatever storm comes my way. Now, obviously, this guy is wrong. He's not familiar with the generators. He hasn't hardly ever used them. Technically, he doesn't even know if they work. I mean, they probably work, but they might not. And does he have extra parts stored up for the whatever parts on the generator that might break frequently under really long prolonged use? Doesn't sound like it. And what if he needs to take the generator from where he would normally use it and put it somewhere completely different? Is he set up to do that? It doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like he's put any thought into that. So, the fact of the matter is that these two characters, they're in a state of denial, and they're not being honest with themselves. And this is one of the things that I encounter a lot with half-awake people. It's people who, they've done a little bit, not really paying attention to it, but they think they got their bases covered. Okay, so the second half-awake guy that I encounter a lot is this guy. So what are you going to do if there's like a gas shortage, or gas becomes so expensive that you can't buy it? And he responds, oh, well, that's not a problem. I've got my 2009 Hummer, and yeah, it sure does take a lot of gas, but I've got 800 gallons of gas stored away in 55-gallon drums, and I've got all the stable in them, and they're going to be good for at least 2 years. And what I do is I just pull the gas out of my drums on a day-to-day basis, and then when I need to, I'll fill up the drums from the gas station. And if there's ever a break in the supply, I got plenty of gas to last. And then I say to him, well, that's a new car, that's pretty interesting. What would you do if there's like a EMP, either like an attack or a solar flare, and it wipes out your car's electronics? Your car's going to be dead. And he says something like, oh, come on, what are you crazy? You're talking nonsense. That's never going to happen. The second guy that I encounter all the time is somebody who's totally closed-minded to things other than what he's thought about. You know, it's obvious that we can't prep for everything. We don't have the money, we don't have the time. There's too many things to prep for. You couldn't prep for everything anyway. And if you did, you'd be spending your whole life prepping, so who would want to do that? But the idea with this second Halfawake guy is that when you're not willing to consider other things, then you're setting yourself to be particularly susceptible to those things. And when you do consider other things that are outside your realm of what you're considering and you're prepping for, even if they're pretty extreme and even if they're what you consider highly unlikely, when you reflect on those things and think about them for a little bit, it'll help you prep for whatever you are prepping for. So there's no reason, there's no good excuse or good reason why you shouldn't consider other stuff. And again, I'm not saying you need to, hold a 12-day seminar on all these potential things that can happen. I mean, no, that's not the point. But the point is that you don't shut your mind to stuff. And you don't say, that'll never happen, so I'm not going to worry about it, and I'm not going to think about it, and I'm not going to consider it. And then, unfortunately, I run into that guy all the time. What do you think, YouTube? Do you guys know some folks like this, or is it just me in my neck of the woods? That's it. Later. Check out Minbound's channel. Peace.